There has never been a bad Swift.
That is a brave statement to make, but think about it. The first generation, as Rohan very famously once said, it was love at first sight. I still remember the first time I saw a picture of one. I believe it was a newspaper or a magazine, and I thought to myself, that is a Maruti? I mean, it had integrated infotainment, it had climate control in a Maruti, and it had that G13B engine which has motorsport pedigree. What an absolute revolution. And then the second generation, it was swoopy, it was curvy, people loved it. And I particularly remember driving the Swift ZDI for the first time, manual, and I remember telling myself, this is all the car I will ever need. It drove absolutely brilliantly, it blew my mind. Every time I drove one, it made a massive smile on my face and gave me a massive, you know what. But again, an evolution of that. Then you have the third generation, and this is a fan favorite because this democratized a lot of things. It still looked like a Swift should, but it looked better than ever before. Still having a little bit of an homage to the first gen, but it had the best interior of the lot. And it still drove fantastically. And the automatics now finally were democratized. They were cheaper, they were more affordable, and they were in various trims too. Again, a massive revolution. So wait. Revolution, evolution, revolution, evolution. This is the fourth gen car, and on the look of it, it looks like the third generation car because sort of underneath it actually is. It is 15 mm longer and 10 mm lower than that, but underneath it all, it sort of is. But it does have a lot of updated design cues.
It's got a more distinct belt line now. The rear doors have traditional handles once again, and it now gets a clamshell bonnet.
Now all of this I am okay with. In fact, I'll go out on a limb and say I actually like the way it looks, and it looks much better in real life than it looks in pictures or it look in this video. But there is something that grinds my gears. There's something that makes my blood boil. There's something which, when I show you, you will never, ever unseen for the rest of your life. This little bit here, it doesn't line up. The design is weird. It doesn't line up with the rest of the design. You will never unsee this, ever.
It even has the same wheel and tire combination.
15 inches and 185/65 R15 tires. That's small. They should have at least given a set of 16. It would have just looked so much better. Do you guys want to know what it looks like on a set of 17s though? Do you? Watch this. You see how much better it looks with big 17-inch wheels on it? It just looks so much nicer, and plus black and black, it matches. So much nicer. But of course, we can't really run the car with these wheels on a review. So sadly, back to stock. And we're back to 15s. But okay, what you guys really want to know is how it drives, right? It drives like a Swift.
So clean, G-O-D, anything you need,
It's got that Swift soul. Every single Swift has it. And very few cars have that soul. It's an intangible thing. I can't explain it. It's something that makes you just drive it more and more. You can't be a passenger in a Swift. You have to drive it. Every single Swift has had that property, and this Swift has that property. Look at this. Look at the smile on my face. I'm not even going downhill, I'm going uphill. Some cars have this property. The Polo had this property. This car has it. Oh yes, the Swift soul. It's still there. It's still there.
And that's a little shocking, as we did not expect it. That's because 1.2 litre has lost a cylinder. It is now a 3-cylinder. It is no longer a K12 but a Z12. And 3 cylinders means fuzziness, which it has. It also means more engine noise, which it also has. But it also means that it revs slower due to larger pistons, which it also does.
No. This car should not be driving as well as it is. It's got 10% less horsepower, it's got less torque, it's 20 kilograms heavier, and it's tuned for fuel economy. And yet,
With this engine, both peak power and peak torque come in a little lower in the rev range too. It might rev slower, but it is still enjoyable, especially when you really have fun with it. Suzuki sure does know how to make a damn good internal combustion engine.
you know what it is? It's the magic underneath. It's that chassis. It's still just so playful. This platform is just so good. Even with those small wheels and puny tires, this thing just is so much fun. Remember, it's always more fun to drive a slow car fast than to drive a fast car slow.
Now, this is notorious as a platform in terms of safety, but they have promised improvements have been made. And it does get 6 airbags as standard. ADAS though is miss, as with every single Maruti Suzuki designed and manufactured car.
You know, it's such a breath of fresh air once in a while to drive something which isn't overwhelming you with a million features and million screens. It's just concentrating on how good it is to drive. This is that car. And look, it handles well, but it's still comfortable. It's a Swift, and that's never a bad thing. It is, however, a bad thing if driving is not the only thing that you care about. Because at this price point, there are, how do we put it, a few omissions.
There is no 360-degree camera, or cooled seats, or sunroof, or heads-up display. There is no digital instrument cluster either. The 9-inch screen is great, but the bezel is too big and looks old in an age where sleek is in.
There is, however, this absolute familiarity though. I mean, the steering wheel feels exactly like I would expect to have in a Swift, and there is a analog instrument cluster, no digital there. But there is no bezel on the right side on the speedometer, and there is one on the left side on the rev counter. What, they ran out of bezels while they were assembling this? It's driving my OCD absolutely up the wall. But that's not my biggest problem. My biggest concern and problem in the Swift's interior is while this does everything it can to please the masses, and it does that really well. When you're talking about a nameplate as storied and as fun as the Swift, the interior has to be interesting. And this is nowhere near as interesting as what the last generation Swift got. It's all grown up now. You know, it's about this time in the video where I could pull over to the side of the road and tell you how the leg space in the rear seats is decent, what you would expect, and how the boot is now 3 liters smaller than before. But it doesn't really matter. Whatever I say, whatever we say, whatever we put out in this video, this review, maybe it doesn't really matter because a Swift is a Swift, and it's gonna sell, irrespective of how it is. You know, I'm feeling just a little bit philosophical right now because Maruti has sold 3.2 million Swifts in India. That's 32 lakh. That's 1 in every 4 people in Mumbai could have one. Those numbers are staggering, and I'm not even talking about the Desire. If you combine the two of those, then it becomes the highest selling car in the country. Currently, it's the second highest sold car in India, and that is important for Maruti because the Swift, it doesn't value at the highest level. For the Swift, a little bit of fun is more important. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's almost like it's a car that everybody likes.
Yes, you might not like the way it looks now, but just like with some other cars in recent times, this too will grow on you. And trust me when I say this, it looks $1 million, literally, in real life. It might not be Rohan's love at first sight, but it sure still has the DNA of a Swift.